Hey everybody, welcome to the Eternal Breakdown. My name is Pojo, and today we're going to be going over some patch changes that occurred with Destiny units and the new Mulligan. I think they're happening this week, so we're going to go ahead and put out a little release on them. We also have one spoiler card that missed the last spoiler breakdown, and there haven't been any new ones for the moment, so we'll cover that at the end. So first things first, the Destiny rule has been changed. Now, if you draw a unit when you have a full board of 12 or more units, well, just 12 units, you, instead of playing a unit and choosing something to sacrifice, you instead discard the Destiny unit and immediately draw a new card. So if you're playing like the Talir Destiny combo and you just go infinite, you're going to fill your board up with 12 units, and then eventually you're going to deck yourself. So you need to be a little bit careful with that, but overall, like, as long as you have like something in your deck that stops the combo, like a Seek Power or something along that line, you should be fine. And the main drawback here now to that kind of combo is that you will no longer get the exact board of 12 units that you want. You'll instead be playing, you know, like a couple of units of Temple Scribe, a Talir's Favored, and then like once you get to 12, that's it until the next time that you know, get harsh ruled and try the combo again. So bit of a nerf to the Talir combo deck, and as a result, the Talir card has, despite not being changed, offered up, it is now going to be destroyable for the full Shiftstone value if you crafted it. So same as if you had nerfed the card through other means. Basically, you just get your full amount of Shiftstone back, and you can use that money to craft premium Talirs, because Talir's still good. I think that's pretty exciting, and overall, like, I think it's a pretty good change. Like, overall, that deck definitely was a bit of a scourge on a lot of players' experiences. I never had major problems with it myself, but it is true that it definitely took a long time to resolve, which made it somewhat irritating for the person who was playing it, and it also made it more irritating for the person who had to sit and wait for it to be played if they had, say, a harsh rule or some sort of answer to it, or if they expected their opponent to make one of the critical mistakes in the Talir deck that caused them to deck themselves. So yeah, like if you're going to do like Last Chance into Aurelian Merchant, Talir, Vodafone, all of that nonsense, and just give all of your cards Destiny, at this point that now causes you to just sort of constantly discard cards until you eventually, like, basically, like, you have a full board, but it's not the exact full board that you want. So yeah, like, overall, this is a pretty solid change, and I'm pretty into it. There's not too much to say about it. I think it definitely improves the play experience overall, especially since it reduces the number of, like, choices you have to make in the middle of a combo. There are a couple of big combos in Eternal right now that take a little bit of time to resolve, the main ones being the Talir combo and the New Tomorrow combo, where if you New Tomorrow, it's not really all that much of a combo, you just get to crest, like, multiple times, and with a Martial Ironthorn or something along those lines on the field, scouting repeatedly can be a bit of a pain, especially if you want to keep the card on the top. So like making those kind of like small quality of life changes definitely feels like a pretty good deal. I think they might have fixed the scouting change as well, but I didn't see anything in patch notes about it yet, so we'll see. I seem to recall that it worked the last time that we played it, but that could be just a bit of the bad memory. The other thing that's happening that's also pretty exciting is that the Mulligan that was tested in the tournament, the 6-card Mulligan to the basic third Mulligan, as they're calling it Desperate Gambit now, is if you are willing to actually take that Mulligan, it is now going to be available in Sealed, Ranked, and Draft. You will actually be able to throw that Mulligan out and like get new cards so that you don't get influence screwed or get those really, really, really bad hands that just can't be played even with the guaranteed power. I think that's a pretty solid change overall to Eternal. It shouldn't make too much of a difference, but we're looking forward to playing with it and having a little bit of fun. We're definitely going to give it a shot, and yeah, I think it's going to be really, really good for the draft environment in particular. I'm looking forward to getting some 7-0s with some ridiculous draft decks. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting change as well. Those are the two patch notes for the day. The last thing that we want to cover is one of the new cards. It's not that new, but I was waiting for a couple more spoilers, and spoiler season doesn't appear to have officially begun yet. We're not like into like the big pile of cards, so we're just going to grab this and talk about it a little bit. One more before we get to that, though. We have a new Unseen that was released today. It's a 2/3. All spells deal -1 damage, and it does not have a name. People can submit a name to support@direwolfdigital.com for the next, I think, week or so. Looks like the cutoff date is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain. So basically, about, 12 hours or so after this video comes up. Not very long. So yeah, give it a shot. You can win some packs if they decide to take your name. game, and yeah, seems like an interesting card overall. As an Unseen 2/3, this is kind of a weird one, because the stat line for it is very, very good against 2-drops, but it's also good against Torch. It actually lives against Torch in a way that most 3 health units do not. So that 2/3 stat line is not quite as bad as most 2/3s are. This one actually kind of reads more like a 2/4 because it's actually pretty hard to kill with spells, and you never really get into a blocking situation where the health matters because you're always blocking higher than you should be. Like, you're always blocking 2/2s, and yeah, so basically you're getting an effective 2/4 4/2. Not too bad of a stat line, and the -1 damage to spells protects your own health as well, so could be a reasonable play. We might see this card in some interesting decks. But yeah, go ahead and submit your name if you want to. Support at direwolfdigital.com. You can win 4 copies of the card and some Defiance packs, I think. So, plus, you know, your name on the card. Eternal glory. Oh, yes. All right, back to it. All right, here we go. Rista, Akantha's Herald. This card is a 3-cost double shadow unit. A lot of cool things going on with the art there. Lovely little elf in Felnwood or somewhere else. Rista can't block, summon, draw a Shadow Sigil from your deck, and empower +2 strength and Warcry this turn. There's a lot of different things going on with this card, so let's talk about all of them in basic order. First things first, this is an Empower card in Shadow, which is really kind of interesting. I think that Shadow is not a set that has enjoyed Empower cards before, but there might be a mild elf theme in this next set that has some empowerment triggers, so we might see a little bit more of it in Shadow, or it might be sort of a one-off type setup. It also has Warcry, which we have seen in Shadow, and it's just a really generally good mechanic. And it can't block, which is a traditional Shadow mechanic that tends to be a little bit, of course, difficult. But with that health bar on it, it is immune to piercing shots and hip shots and signal flares, you know, like a lot of the small sort of iffy removal like Lightning Storm. Not too much of which is getting used in the current meta, but a lot of which could end up being used in both draft and ranked, and makes that sort of health bar matter just a little bit. Okay. So, first things first, this is a card at 3 with an okay stat line, not a great stat line, but an okay stat line that replaces itself with a new card. That's already something that you should be keeping an eye on. This card will probably be reasonable in Shadow just for the ability to draw into your next power. Rista, Akantha's Herald attacks as a 4/3 whenever it's empowered, so it is something that can basically swing in as a 4/3 for 3, and then immediately play down an Impending Doom or another 4-drop of some type that could actually get you a lot further into the game. Like, basically, I think this card is pretty aggressive, but it also kind of transitions into the mid-range, and you really want to play a kind of high-power deck with a lot of sort of mid-rangey beater units in it. In addition, it's pretty future-minded. Like, it cares about not only drawing more power to give it more strength, but it also cares about that Warcry going on something in your deck to play with. So this could be a cool Argenport mid-range card. It could be a Stonescar mid-range card. I think it is definitely in the mid-range vein. It's probably not aggressive enough to be an aggro card in Shadow, even though it's relatively well statted, same sort of stats as like the Auric Interrogator, except half the time it's turned off and it can't block. So there are some awkward things going on with it. It's definitely got some weird play patterns to it, but overall, a card that encourages attacking, that has really, really good value overall, and like basically that ability to replace itself while also having quite a few different things going on with it. Like 4/3 Warcry is solid for 3, I think. I think this card is actually pretty decent, and we'll probably see some play in ranked. It's also a pretty good constructed card because it fixes, or a pretty good limited card, which is to say draft and sealed, because it fixes your power even further towards things like Marionette Cross and other triple shadow cards. It also just fixes your power for 4-drops and 5-drops, of which there are some pretty demanding ones: Shadowlands Tyrant, Umbran Reaper, and both of those things are really important, but also the attack is quite solid as well. The fact that it can't block makes it a little bit tricky and limited, because oftentimes you want units to have that sort of versatility, but I think overall this card looks pretty powerful. Okay, that's it for the breakdown for today. Not too much else to report, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll have more spoilers for you, I'm sure, very soon. So see you guys then, and have a really, really good night. Cheers!